what just respond to what Bernard Riley said, right? About the Death Star being blown up, but the Empire. Black
Mhm.
women are not the Empire, are they, Bernard?
Fair point.
Are they? Okay. So if we're going after the Empire, is so blowing up the black woman Death Star was just an instrument. Where's the next step? If you're going to go after the Empire,
I guess it would be like what you said, politics.
politics, because who runs the Empire? It's not black women, is it?
Right.
So that war, the online black gender war between black men and women is over. Okay, that's over. What's the next step? Stop fighting the last war.
And that's a whole nother war because then you got dudes that they want to, because then you start getting into the Democrats, Repubs, which is a trap. BGS has informed me we really need to get into more policy, policy and yeah, policy. Because when you get into the Democrat Republican, then they try to make it like the women don't matter, even though the women are getting all the stuff they need to get, versus who you're going to vote for and stuff like that. Versus we need to focus on
Wow.
creating awareness amongst a lot of these policy
Right.
points.
I'm glad. Part of me is glad about the Trump versus what the Democrats and all this kind of stuff, because black men didn't fucking talk about it before. Now they have. But what I want now is for you to know what you fuck you're talking about. Okay. Instead of this
Yeah.
emotional gut reaction about, oh, I'm a conservative, oh, I'm a this, I'm a that, because you don't even know what the fuck it means. Okay. That's my problem. I don't care about you being a conservative. If you're gonna be conservative, conservative talking points, know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And
That's what
honestly,
irritates me when I ask a conservative, why are you conservative? Blah, 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 blah. You don't know what you're talking
a
about. Know
lot
what
of
you're
it
talking about.
is I'm just not on what the fucking liberals are
What-
doing. That's what a lot of that
They're
is too.
all liberals.
Well,
Okay.
you get well from I get what they're saying from their perception. Because even with I get what you're saying, BGS, but even with DC, there's a difference between like somebody like DC and then somebody like these motherfuckers are talking about a boy is a girl. I don't know what a woman is. Like there's degrees to it, but folks don't do a good job articulating those degrees. So yeah.
You think all this stuff is going on without Republican consent? Is that what you really think?
Mm.
You
Yeah,
re- you really think that?
that's the tough that's the
Well,
tough
well,
one right
no,
there
no, no.
because
Well,
it's been plenty of times actually. Probably one of the last times I talked to Man of Tomorrow. We did a show on that where we were talking about Republicans. In very very recently they had everything lined up to where if they really wanted to change some shit, they could have got a
yes.
lot done. But then ultimately nothing happened.
You
So
can look
yeah,
at
that's why.
family. You can look at
Yeah,
child
yeah.
support rights. You can look at
But
breadwinner rights. I always say this: what is a white woman? What is a white conservative woman giving back rights that liberal white women have won?
Well,
Never.
hold on. Yeah, well, got a question for
Go ahead.
BGS, but real quick, Freeman's Journal in the building says support black male media. We got Marvel in the building says great channel, Mr. Riley. Shout out to
Yeah.
hey, if y'all new here, subscribe. If you're new here, subscribe.
Hey,
Freeman's Journal back in here with another one says props to King Randall, the X for boys. Shout out, salute. Paul Gaming here says another BR masterpiece.
hey,
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Bernard, you don't get a chance to talk to BGS like that often, so I'm gonna hop off so you can kind of get all that in there.
Okay, cool, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
appreciate it.
Cool. Yep. No, appreciate that. BL in the building. He says they keep using black demographics to say 80% of black men have kids. Bernard had an episode where that got debunked. LOL. Mike also did a video on that. Yeah. Shout out to Mike and Vince Perkins. I know BGS probably have done some videos on that, probably lost in his archives, but Mike did a recent one where he broke down how many black
Mhm.
men had kids. So that's
They
that's
keep
that's
they,
the
keep-
one.
they keep a very good count of that because it's called birth certificates. They know exactly how many children are born, and they pretty much have a good idea who they're born to and what race. They keep a very good count of it, so they don't need the census. The CDC and the BLS actually keep a very good count of that stuff, because for a baby to be born in the United States, okay, unless you born the few people actually born in a home someplace, right? For that kid to be counted and go to school, that kid's gonna have to have a birth certificate, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
paperwork. Gets logged in the computer, and they know exactly up to the second how many kids are being born, who they're being born to, where they're being born, who the mother and father is, to the almost to the second. Okay, to say that they don't know is bullshit. They know. They don't have to go to the 10-year census. They know up to the very second about births. Marriages and births, they know to the second because that paperwork has to be filed.
Hmm. Let's. All right, you did a stream. I didn't get to watch all of it, where you was breaking down, the people who consider themselves conservatives today. They're really just classical
Class
liberals.
liberal, yeah.
Yeah, explain that one. I'm mad I didn't get the
Okay.
chance to watch the video, but
Oh,
go ahead and break that
okay,
down.
okay. Liberalism basically means that you're breaking past the old uh, uh, collective kings, queens, and feudalism, right? Okay.
Mm,
In other words, what liberals believe in the rights of the individual, right? Rights of the individual, an inalienable rights. In other words, the what they call natural rights of the individual. Because Miss Sherman broke it all down, right?
hmm
So what you liberals, the classic liberal believes in the individual agency of each individual person over the collective. Okay. But the thing is, as he was saying, as Hobbes was saying, to referee all these individuals, people to actually come to a consensus, which is they call the community of interest. So you actually forge a document or a standard that we're going to abide by as all these individuals. Okay, that's what they call the state. Okay, and a classical liberal believes in a small state, a small leviathan, as Hobbes put it. Okay, just enough to referee the individuals to actually have an agreement, so we can actually live together and form a cohesive community. Okay, that's a classic liberal. Okay, how you bank, how you do your money, that should be left up to you. So the classic liberal believes in the maximum amount of individuality, and the state is only there to actually referee disputes between individuals. That's the classic liberal, and if that's what most people that call them conservatives believe in, right?
Right.
The
Okay.
rights. Okay.
When did what you just described as the classical liberal,
Mhm.
when did that turn into what people are now referring to as conservative?
It's called socialism, right? Because because it is what's it says as when I'm on him, but Quigley said, okay, individualized, atomized individuals under classic liberalism without the protection of the state get eat up by bigger entities, okay, like corporate structures, okay, like larger entities that come together, like the military, okay, or even larger structures that within the government that will come and eat you up, eat your lunch, right? So basically, what you had to do if you didn't want to work 6 days a week, 17 hours in a goddamn factory for low wages, or in a goddamn coal mine where you're getting black lung without no protections or any kind of thing like that. You have to do what? Do the other thing. Then the state has to step in, and you have to collectively come together to actually advocate your rights. That's called progressivism. That's called socialism, right? Okay, because
Hmm
your right to vote is a socialist idea. Your right to vote is a socialist idea. Your public education socialist idea. Okay, your 8 hour work week socialist idea. Your Medicare, your right to medicine. Okay, is socialist idea. All these are socialist ideas. That's the collectivism. That's like a United States is a mixed economy, right? You have social mores. That's collectivism versus capitalism, which means individualism for profit. You have those two things. United States is not a purely capitalist country. Okay, so that's how you have the mixture of progressives and what you call classic liberals. Okay, you can't have a whole bunch of laissez-faire liberals running this country. Otherwise, guess what? Black folks will still be on the plantation. So if you like being free and you like being citizens of this country, okay, how far are you gonna go with that laissez-faire classic liberalism, as conservatives as you call it? Because then the individuals at the top, there are more of them, are actually going to impose their will on you.
Let's go back to that the socialism thing. To me, it sounded like just the line get moved over, because like you
No,
talked about a lot of stuff that we would just define today as normal.
it's
The eight
it's
hour
nor
work the eight
it,
hour work day and stuff like that. So that I guess back then, before they put any rules and regulations on stuff, that was considered socialism. But right now,
so
that's normal. So is it like today? You have to take it to some
no,
extreme to
no,
be socialism?
it's still socialism. Okay, if you want to go to Marxism and communism, okay, that's not liberal. That is illiberal, authoritarian socialism. That's communism. Go to China. Go to China talking that shit. Go to Russia talking that shit. Okay. Why you think Brittany Griner is getting 9 years for
Oh,
weed? They don't play. Okay. Those are hardcore, illiberal socialists. Okay. That's the difference between democratic socialists that we have on in the West versus the communists. Okay, they're illiberal, non-democratic, authoritarian socialists. That's the difference where the state comes in. Well, according to Marxist theory, right? According to the Marxists, the original communists, okay, where the state comes in, they own everything, they arbitrate everything, and eventually until the utopia comes, they rule everything until the workers can actually work together, and then the state's supposed to disappear, which it hasn't. That's authoritarianism. Okay, if you want that, you guys are liberals. The real conservatives are Chinese and Russians. That's the old school authoritarianism. Okay, if you want to be real conservative, go over there. They're conservatives. They don't play. You go to some African countries that are authoritarian. They don't play. Okay, go to Haiti under authoritarianism. They don't play. This
okay.
all you Negroes are liberals. Okay.
That's why you're saying that actual conservatism had black people back in chains,
Yes.
because
Yes.
conservatism, as it was originally defined,
Yeah.
it was that dogmatic. So so how does that vibe with American histories?
Why don't we? Okay, because you define liberalism or conservatism by history, right? How do you know that you're conservative? Just because you say so? Where do these words come from? What do they mean? What's their antecedents? Do you understand what it is to be conservative, as we call it, or a liberal, as we call it? Okay, you can
No,
understand
yeah,
it.
I
You, you,
freely admit I
you,
understand the modern iterations of it. That's why I've been trying to deep dive into some of your content to get the history of it. I understand the modern iteration of it, so
so so
I freely admit that. I
so you
freely
like
admit
so
that.
so so you like to go to the ministry of the truth where they can change words and meanings into whatever form they want in the shape of what they want. Is that what we're doing now?
No, I just said I acknowledge that you're breaking shit down and I'm learning something. And I said I
Hmm.
went to your content to try to, to get a better understanding, of that. Because as far as the history of where it came from, I admit there's a lot of that I'm ignorant to. So yeah, so no,
So
I'm
so
not claiming to have the answers on that. It's just in this modern time that when we look at what liberal is and what conservative is, we see the liberals on they're on. I mean, I think you mentioned this in one of your videos, how liberal is just turned into just basically the wacky people that want to put your son in a dress and all of that shit. And people disassociate from that, and they identify with more of the traditional values that's coming from the Republican Party, which is connected to conservatism, and then they just say, hey, by what we're seeing in this modern time, I line up more with the people that refer to themselves as conservative. So if something was something that was awful, but then it, seemingly has evolved into something that does not seem awful, does the modern day person say, no, I can't call myself that because of what it was in the history? You see, I think that's where a lot of people are at right now.
and you know what the thing is that okay, how you guys want to play this game? You guys want to play this game at the base level? You guys want to play this game at a higher level? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because the people at the top, they understand what they're talking about. So because you guys can't really distinguish a conservative versus a liberal. It's not by party. Okay, it's not even by
Mhm.
party. Donald Trump was not a conservative. He's a liberal. Always has been.
Who
But you,
is a conservative? Give me a give me one. Give me an
you
American
he
politician that
he's
you
in,
could put.
he's in office right now. A real one.
Biden. Biden.
Yes. Who who you think
Break
wrote
that
the
down.
who
Break
you
that.
think wrote the crime bill? Who you think wrote the
Uh,
crime bill?
I remember your content on that where I remember you was saying I remember your exact words. I'm probably gonna paraphrase it and botch it a little bit, but I remember you said that you didn't like Biden and you forgot why, but then you watched the tape of him, talking about the crime bill, and you remembered like, oh
He
yeah,
called
this
he
is.
called he called George Bush he called George Bush Senior a pussy basically because he wasn't tough enough. He's law
Mm,
and order. He wasn't tough enough. Does that sound like a liberal, a laissez-faire liberal to you? Why do you think the progressives don't like him now? They don't like him. And we're
Yeah,
talking about left-wing progressives that are chewing their hat. Okay. Bernie Sanders is a left-wing socialist liberal. Okay. AOC is a left-wing socialist liberal. Okay. Biden is not that guy.
mm,
Biden is not
mm.
that guy. Okay. If you, and I hope I don't get a 202 call for that shit because this administration is real sensitive about how they look. You could say what you wanted about Trump because he wasn't that sensitive. He didn't really give a fuck for a little guy to say whatever he wanted to say, right? This administration is not so that way. Okay. After January 6th, okay, what did you during his inauguration? What did you see in Washington D.C.? The biggest thing. What's the first thing you notice for his inauguration?
We're talking about Biden, and I apologize. I was trying to.
Biden. Okay, go ahead and read it.
Biden's inauguration was the first thing I saw.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Troops, right? How many troops were in there for his inauguration? On the
I don't
ground,
remember.
30,000.
Uh,
When have you seen that before?
Never.
Never. I'm not gonna say too much because that's the shit they don't like me talking about, right? The thing is,
Yeah.
what I want you guys to do, I don't give a fuck what you believe. I really don't care, right? Uh, but if you're gonna believe it, you're gonna spout this stuff out and know what the fuck you're talking about. Because every time I ask you guys what you're talking about, you guys don't know. Look this shit up. If just like if you're a Christian, right? How you can be a Christian if you don't read the Bible? And
Oh,
that's
trust
supposed to be Christian
that.
history.
Listen, the majority of Christians don't read the Bible. That it just is what it is. And it's messed up. I remember I used to be a Christian once upon a time.
Did you
I
read the
stopped
Bible?
being I stopped being a Christian when I finally read it.
Yes.
So there's that. So I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but yeah, they don't read it. But yeah.
Go ahead and read your super chat.
Yeah. Okay. Who we got in here? Electrician 480 in the building says, as BG has stated many times, it is not the woman, it's the environment, and the environment is politics. Thank you for that super chat. Appreciate that. Lord Love Smith in the building. He says, with my current view of things, to be conservative is to believe in limited government, lower taxes, self accountability, and self determination.
That is a classical what?
That lines up more or less with what you said the classical liberal
Thank
was,
you.
but I grant you your knowledge of history, but this is what it has evolved to. But I understand if you're saying that we need to understand the history and understand the terms, names, and labels because words have meaning, terms have meaning, and if you're calling it conservative, then okay.
Even if you can call it conservative.
Here's the problem. I don't even know if this is a problem, but okay, you said a true conservative. I mean, and you went to you talk about North Korea and all those countries. That's true conservatism.
The
And
Japanese, Thailand, Singapore, Korea, Germany. Germany's softer than they used to be, but they're still closer to authoritarian. Italy, that's closer to authoritarian. Greece, okay, those kind of folks, okay, they're closer to conservatives than we are, because when you call yourself conservative, you're from America, they look at you funny.
yeah. Now I'm no big fan of Biden, but I'm in a position where damn near got to defend him. You said that conservatives would have black people back in slavery. I said name a conservative politician right now, and you went right to the A list, all the way up to the Oval, and said Biden. Are you going that far to say Biden would have us in chains?
No, I'm saying
Just want to make sure we ain't I want to make sure I understand.
I'll tell you what, Bernard. Okay, this stuff belongs what I call behind the wall, right?
All
And
right.
I'm gonna do a behind the wall
Okay.
tomorrow for my Patreons, right? Send me an email. I'll
I'm
send you
gonna
a link.
join you. No, I'll just join your Patreon. I'll just join your Patreon so I can
because
check it out.
because when I do a behind the wall, we can actually talk about this because you really don't want to know. Okay, you don't know what kind of guy you have. It can't happen. It can't happen in this country because this is a liberal country, right? It's a very liberal country. That's what Mearsheimer. There's a reason Mearsheimer is a realist. reason Mearsheimer teaches international relations, right? Because he knows what the fuck he's talking about. He used to be in the military. He's actually went to, I think he went to, he graduated from West Point. Okay, so he's not some just dude that doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He's been teaching this for like 40 years. He's worked in the Pentagon. He's worked in D.C. Okay, he's taught this stuff all over the world. Okay, there's a reason he says this. It's because you guys think because the local Fox talking points it defines what a conservative is and what a liberal is. It doesn't. Okay. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to know what exactly what liberalism is because you don't. So that's why I actually started actually defining these terms, including patriarchy, right? Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm a patriarch. Okay, how so? What's a patriarch? What's a patriarchy? And 99% of black men have no clue what a patriarchy is. That's how come I read this stuff. What's the patriarchy? Where'd it come from? What's the history of it? What's the antecedents of it? How was it built? And basically, what are the tenets of a patriarchy versus a matriarchy? Okay, which the black community actually lines up as a social matriarchy, almost to the T. That's what it really is, a gynocracy, which is ruled by women because 4 out of 5 of your was it political office holders are what? Black women. You're not in charge. You're not in charge. That's how come you can't change what's going on with your schools. That's how come they want to keep their foot on the necks of the black boys because they're going to turn into black men. That's how the feminists took over your whole the wave of your kids, right? Because in 1972 they didn't go after the money; they went after the children. When Germany wanted to actually when Germany actually wanted to form a nation from the German states, did they go after the adults? They went after the kids. It's called a Prussian school system. When Hitler wanted to take over Germany, who did he go after? Did he go after the old folks? No, he went after the children. You have to be socialized into a system. But the thing is, if you don't understand how the system is built or how people build systems, you're not going to fix it. That's how come we keep going around in freaking circles. Because you don't understand how these systems are built. All you know is what you learn on Wikipedia or what you learn on YouTube. I'm gonna start handing out YouTube scholarships, YouTube certificates to YouTube scholars. Read, learn. If you're gonna read, you're gonna learn. Learn what the hell you're talking about. If you want to define, when I say patriarchy, define what a patriarchy is, or I lead my family. That's not a patriarchy.
Yeah, that's a pseudo patriarchy. I remember
It's not even pseudo patriarchy. Okay.
Oh, you don't even think you wouldn't even call that a pseudo patriarchy? If a man leading his family, everybody following his lead, he's in charge. He's running that household until she decide to go left.
Until she decided to go left, because hell, we men have been leading their families in matriarchies in the black community for years, for centuries. Still a matriarchy. Because when she decides to go left, guess what? Ain't shit you can do to stop her. Because you ain't got no rights.
Right. No, agreed on that. Super Duper in the building says BGS appreciate the technical ideological breakdowns that's been needed. Absolutely. I've been trying to get caught up. Been doing some damn good content over there, breaking stuff down. And so yeah, I've been trying to get caught. I caught a lot of it, trying to get caught up on the rest of it. Roddy God podcast in the building says black male Democrats are the next group to be red pilled. In my Merovingian voice, your time is almost up. What do you think about what he's saying right there? Black male Democrats are the next group to be red pilled.
Yeah, because black male Democrats, and this is something that my mentor and she says it because she's a black female nationalist, right? And we talked about this about Democrats appealing to the women, and guess what she said? She said, okay, they know if we get the women, the men are going to follow them.
That's fucked up. But it's
who actually determines your democratic policy? Is it you as a man, as a black man, or is it
no,
woman?
that's women. Women. I understand that the Democratic Party, yeah. That long story short, black men basically follow what women are doing when it comes to politics.
What if black women decide to switch over and become Republicans? What do you think would happen?
I tend to believe there would be. That's messed up. I never thought about it like that because listen, I've been saying just bare minimum for just strategic reasons, more black men need to just, get off, even if they don't, proudly say I'm a proud black Republican, just vote the other side, or just don't vote Democrat. Just shake it up. And I did say that if a lot of black men did go Republican, there'll be a small percentage of black women that may follow. But when you flipped it that way, if black women went Republican, I hate to I hate that I gotta admit, it'd be so many Negroes going over to the Republican side.
Bernard,
Yeah,
I've been doing this for 40 years, man.
yeah,
People
man.
people think I just walked into YouTube and basically I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? Okay, that's why I say I got a track record of 8 years. Where have I really been wrong? I've been wrong a few times, but really, where have I been wrong in my analysis? Anywhere, pick it out. There's a hashtag going around now. BGS was right. I see it every day. Oh yeah, this just showed up. BGS was right. The big
Yeah,
hey big head
it's been in
cough.
the chat. It's been in the chat. Yeah,
Yeah. The
yeah.
thing is, what? Who do you think brought Kevin Samuels into the manosphere like this to do what he's doing? Who do you think did that?
Yeah, my general understanding of it, yeah, it was you. That was
It was me.
my general
I
understanding.
told I told Kevin when COVID first started breaking out, they're coming to you, make your money and grind, because when the moment is up, because the environment is going to shape what they do, and they're going to panic, they're going to come to you. I didn't think it would last this long. You can't predict stuff like that. But Kevin started ramping it up because he saw the opportunity. We actually talked about it. So a lot of this stuff goes on in the background. This stuff just didn't happen in a vacuum. There's a reason this stuff happens. When I'm trying to get black men in this sector to get their heads out of their asses and lower their what they think is their ego, and actually read the room. Okay, stop playing at this stuff. Stop playing these word games and battling back and forth over bullshit, man. Get down to the real stuff. Get down to the real stuff. If you're gonna do this and you mean to do this in real time, get down to the real stuff. How do you change a society? You just can't study the black community. How does China change its society? How does Germany change its society? How did we change the society in America? How did England change its society? Study forms, how people move and how things change. If you study that, you get a good idea. You get a leg up on what the next phase of anything is. But if you guys want to chase your tails like you're doing right now, go ahead. But so when I come on here, and that's how conservatives run. When I ask you what's a conservative, you can't tell me. The guy that put up the super chat, he's the first one that actually advocated what actually a conservative is. That's the actual definition that most white conservatives actually use. That one that he just used.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That was the definition I always went with, and that's why I said I'm more that than whatever the bullshit
You,
is that the people that call
you,
themselves liberals are doing.
but the thing is, liberals have a wide swath, right? And basically the far left that advocate for gender swapping and all that kind of stuff. It's not just the far left. There's people on both sides, of conservative and so-called liberals, that do that shit for their
But
own reasons.
it's levels to it though. Well, you have to agree with that. Most of the people that are going to that extreme, most of them are liberal. And I do. There are some conservatives that are, kind of buying it and floating that way, but the vast majority, if they're doing that kind of stuff, they're liberal.
So how is this crap taught on a wide scale, implemented in law on a wide scale, in schools, in schools, in politics, in boardrooms, all this kind of stuff, implemented without the consent of the so-called Republicans or so-called conservatives? How's it implemented without them raising even one voice? Then
Hmm.
they might
Yeah.
poo-poo it, but they're not trying to stop it, are they?
Yeah. I mean, I understand. And again, I've done content on that, how they play lip service to certain things, but when they got everything lined up just right to where they could change it, they tend not to do nothing. So
Mm.
in that sense, they're either lying or they're weak, one or the other.
You really believe they're weak?
I think that there are some political hills that they choose not to die on.
You really believe they're weak? Where they're allowing you to actually shoot hormones into little children, which is illegal.
All right, I mean, I know we've covered it on here a lot where it was
Look, look up the log cabin Republicans. Okay, there's a reason they're headed that way, but I'm not going to even get into that. You can look it up yourself. Stop believing what people tell you to believe. Investigate. I said that from the beginning. Don't believe what I say. Look that shit up.
mm-hmm.
Look that shit up. I've been arguing about people in matriarchy. Like, oh, the Seminoles weren't matriarchal. I said, did you actually look this stuff up? Look it up. Okay, there's a reason they called the black community a matriarchy, gynocracy, which they actually refused to actually admit. Go back and look at the literature, read the patterns, and see if it lines up. And then once you got it, use it. Okay, don't just say, well, I don't believe it. No, use it. Stats, statistics, documents, use it. That's the whole thing. So when you go advocate to actually have policy changes, you can't come in with your gut feel or some talking points you found on YouTube. You got to come in with real stuff. Use it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how come I don't really come on platforms like this, because I know what I'm gonna come up against. You got a lot of dudes that talk about what they think and what they feel in their opinion, but they don't have it backed up with anything.
Mm-hmm. Nate Dogg is saying the Republican Party is every piece of shit establishment Republicans America is dominant. What the Arizona Republican Party? I don't know what you
I don't know what
mean.
that means either.
Yeah. You know,
That's what
well,
I'm
a little
talking
bit.
about.
No, a little bit. Nate normally have more to say. I didn't understand exactly what he meant by that one. But no,
Even even
shout out.
before the even before the election, I played vote scam, right? From 19, I think it was 1993, right? 1993, 1994, about how votes can actually be altered, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
old, okay? That's old. All of a sudden, Trump loses it. Oh, it's a big scandal. Come on, y'all.
Yeah, I wouldn't on that scandal thing with as far as Trump losing. I wasn't on that shit. But LB Crypto in the building says, Bernard, I told you this is ground zero for this space. I'll get out of there. Get out of there. Don't overrate me. Don't overrate my channel. He says, salute to the master teacher BGS. Yep, absolutely. Freeman Journal. I saw you in the back, Freeman. Can you come on back? Freeman Journal in the building. He says, real talk, most black men want to go against the women. This is why when it comes right down to it, they never mention voting for another party. He says they just want black women to be the leaders they
What,
want.
if thing is, if you want them to lead, and if you want this to be a gynocracy or matriarchy, hold your goddamn leaders to the representatives' feet to the fire. Okay, hold their feet to the fire. Stop kissing up to them and going, okay, hold them to the fire. Make them do what they're supposed to do. If you actually want to keep them in place, I don't care.
What?
But if go ahead.
How do you think black men should vote? As far as, I mean, all right, let's just keep it basic. Just bare minimum, Democrat, Republican, or either. Where you at on that?
Extract something for your vote. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Republican. When people come on and say we should vote Republican, no. Okay, what are Republicans going to do for us in exchange for our vote? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if Democrats want your vote, what are they going to do in exchange for it? If the women want you to back them, okay, pull out your list. Okay, we got 14 points. Okay, which one are you actually going to do? What? Uh, um, Actually going to basically do for us. We got 14 points. Where you actually going to line up with this? Stop talking about this side versus that side. No. Uh, Politics and votes and that kind of stuff and allegiance need to have some kind of some kind of substance. Okay, what am I getting for my vote? You're my representative, not my leader. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what are you bringing back to the table? What are black men getting for their allegiance with you, even including your women? Okay, if black boys can't read, how are we actually going to reform the school board so the black boys can read? What kind of monies or what kind of program are we actually going to start for black boys? You have to be critical. If you're going to do politics, man, not
Mm-hmm.
just
Yeah.
recruiting from one side or the other. Do politics. Politics is policy. What kind of policy are you actually going to implement? That's what you have to talk about. If you're going to do it, do it. Stop playing at it.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, we need to go against it because the women is on it. No. What are they going to give us? What side's going to give us what? Because it doesn't matter which side you're on, right? All that matters is what you get back, because they're your reps. And if they're not your reps, vote them out. I don't care what flag they carry. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, listen, I hear people say shit about you. I don't get into it. Normally,
I don't
they're
care.
typically somebody bad start bad mouthing you in my chat room. I normally either time it out. If they just out of control with it, I might block them. But but they were saying that that you're a Biden guy. You supported Biden, voted for
I did.
him, or
I, I,
I'm telling you what they say.
yeah, but thing is, who warned you about Biden? I warned you about Biden before he was even elected. Okay, Trump
Mm-hmm.
lost not because of Biden. Trump lost because of COVID. I told you about that.
Mm-hmm.
I told you about that. I'm not a Biden guy. I voted for what's his name? I voted for I voted for Jeezy. He was actually on the ballot. That's who I voted for. That's how little I cared about it.
Okay.
I voted for Jeezy. I wait. I should. I should. I should have took a screenshot. I should have actually took my camera out and actually showed you who I voted for. Okay.
I respect that vote. I respect that. I think that's
That's a protest vote.
yeah. I'm all for black men. If we can galvanize enough black men to do a protest vote, I'm in favor of that. I'm in favor of that. But Freeman's Journal, welcome back. Welcome back. What you got? You got a question for BGS.
No, not a question. But so voting for parties isn't, when it comes to black boys in education, look, school choice has been um miraculous for black boys who are able to get into better schools, right? And so, but the choices between the two parties, I mean, you're not even voting for policy unless you're voting at the local level. I mean, state and federal and
That's true.
beyond, that's all culture. So at the local level, at the school board level, you vote them out, because there is one culture that is going to support school choice. There's one culture that is going to support allowing not allowing, but allowing more charter schools, because a lot of states that allow them restrict them on a basis, either total number or percentage of students or whatever. So when it comes right down to it, the answer is you vote people out if you want black boys to read, and they will respond just because they are already doing that. Scott Walker did it in Wisconsin when he took over, and that when statewide, so that greatly increased charter school and choices for black children in that state. So if you
What
want better education, you're gonna have to get rid of folks.
what works for black boys? You already know what the template is. What works for them? And Monahan said
KIP
it back in 1960.
academies,
You
No,
tell. Hold on,
academies.
wait, hold on,
no.
wait. BGS, you
No,
tell on,
no.
wait.
Wait,
BGS,
all right.
you tell us BGS what works for black boys. Go ahead.
Single sex education for black boys works every time. Public, private, charter, doesn't matter. Single sex education for black boys. Doesn't matter what it is, right? Where has
Okay,
it not worked?
so dozens of things have worked. Dozens of different charter schools, dozens of different
Okay.
teachers, dozens of different implementers.
Okay.
So you can go look at test scores from charter schools in states across the nation, and you will see higher test scores for black boys in mixed schools, in single sex schools, in any schools. The point is, you're getting out of the dumpster fire that is public education, and you're allowing black people to self-segregate themselves by choice,
Charter school
right,
is public
into what they
education.
want.
Charter school is public education.
It doesn't matter. They don't have the same restrictions, and they are freed up to do things differently. Period. That is why you can have worse charter schools. That works. That happens too.
Friedman, show me where you have a 98% graduation rate and 90 to 97% of them go to college.
Okay.
For
So
for
I'm
black
sure
boys.
you've heard of KIPP Academies, yeah?
I've heard of KIPP Academy.
Okay. So hold on. Let me go look up KIPP Academy test scores real quick.
And that's just one. Okay, we're talking
Yeah,
about a
that's
model
one
that
of
works.
many.
We're talking about a model that works like
That's cool.
every.
That's cool.
Okay,
That's cool.
okay,
But
all
where are
right,
you
all
going to
right,
get it from?
all right. Where you gonna get
How
what
you going
from?
to get it? How you going to get your model implemented?
It's real easy. You
Okay,
go to
tell me.
the school board and say in public education. Okay, you have plenty of schools already there that are not being used. Right? You can have you have a separate single sex public high school for boys. Doesn't have to be charter.
Now, how do you get it implemented?
How you get it implemented? Easy.
Correct.
Two things: either you change the school board, or you go to your school board with the stats and force your school board to actually implement this stuff.
I mean, they know the stats. You got to get rid of them.
But are you going to the school board with the stats and actually bringing this stuff out in public?
Hashtag they know, because that's why they're
See,
already restricting charter schools.
that's the
They
problem.
already know.
It doesn't
What are you
matter
talking
about
about? You try.
Wait, hold on,
Are you
wait,
seriously?
go ahead, hold on,
Hold on.
wait,
I
wait
just
a
got a
minute,
question.
Freeman. No, wait, hold on. I do want to hear what BGS was about to say. When you said hashtag they know, he said that's the problem. How's that the problem?
In other words, you assuming that they know, but thing is, yeah, they might know, but thing is, are you actually embarrassing them in public with the knowledge? Because it's about other people knowing what they know. Because they're gonna go back, well, the boys aren't adequate, and it's the parents, and we've been trying our best. No bullshit, and this is
So
how we know and you
we're
should
gonna
run on that. When
so
they
we're
actually
gonna
go, when they actually run for school board, we need single sex education for black boys. And here's the history, going all
we're
the way back to
gonna
Moynihan.
we're gonna shame them into doing what we
Yes,
want.
yes, because otherwise you're not gonna get what elected. How do you force politicians to do what you want? He said, if you don't do this, you're not going to have a job. They're your
Hmm.
representatives, are they not?
Absolutely. So what if you shame them and they don't do it? Then what do you do?
They don't get elected.
Oh, okay.
But
So
are you doing that?
we'll just
What?
vote differently. I mean, I am. I don't know about anybody else.
So how you can get the rest of the guys to get on board and do that?
Well, I mean, they have to want it. I
No.
mean, I
Oh,
can't
all right.
I can't make.
Okay.
Well, no,
All right.
it's
Well, how do
to
you
which.
do
Hold
it?
on, wait, time
Let
out.
me know.
To what y'all talking about? There's multiple angles in it. When you said he's just gonna go up there and shame him, I didn't look at what he was saying as just one individual going to go up there and wag his finger at him. But but yes, go up there, present it, lay it out there. But also, that's where media platforms come in, where the information is getting put out there in bulk, in mass, to the point to where it's not just you waving your finger at them. It's a bunch of people who know how much of some bullshit that they're on, and that's where it affects votes, and that's where y'all basically can agree to agree. If you saying get them out of there, what he's saying ultimately will get them out of there. But there's the presenting it to them, shaming them, and it's also galvanizing people with the information that you got as well. You see, so y'all, I think y'all can agree to agree in that case, right?
Uh, I guess. I mean, I'm at school board meetings, so I
Okay.
mean,
Okay. Moynihan said way back, because Clark was telling all the stuff Moynihan talks about in his report comes from two sources. It comes from Fraser or Clark. Clark was saying this in the 50s, right? You got to get the boys away from the gynocracy, from their women, right? Give them an all male environment, okay? Because we know that works. You need to get them away from the matriarchy. If not, the women are actually going to ruin them. You got to get them away from that. That's how the women don't want you to have it, because this is actually going to pull the boys away. They want to keep the boys under control. The feminists say the same thing. We need the boys to be under control. They have to be around women. You have to kill this initiative, because guess what? Every time you implement it, name me one boys' school that doesn't work. I don't care what state it's in, what district it's in, what area it's in. Name me one that doesn't work. Why are you trying to rewrite 12 different ideas when you have one that works every time?
Man, well, because that's not up to me. You know,
Okay.
it is not up to, oh, I'm going to nationwide
Oh,
implement the exact top-down measure for every person in every state, and we're all going to agree on in every school district an all-boys school. You don't
it-
control that
but the thing is, where should you start? Start with
at the
something that's
school board and getting rid of them.
and then
Getting
you put
rid of
and
them.
then you put
That's
in
where you
other
start.
then you put other people in, and guess what they're going to do?
No. Politicians do what is politically in their best interest, or they get dealt with. You see people get dealt with in primaries, and the next person comes in and they act differently. Matter of fact, you can look at Kristen Sinema. She was running hard left in Arizona. Now what's she doing? She wants to stay in office. Now all of a sudden, oh, she's not that Democrat anymore. So you see what
You
politicians do when
you
they are properly incentivized.
you have to crystallize one idea, okay, that works, okay, and crystallize it and get around it. If you have 12, guess what's going to happen? It's going to get diffused. One idea, crystallize, you know that works, implement this shit. And get behind, and all black men get behind it, and shame black women about it. If you want better boys and better men, this is what you got to get behind. Otherwise, guess what? We need to start taking your children and give them to their fathers. You got to get behind this. If you don't want to get behind it, well, we can't decide for everybody, and it's all liberal, and you can't make it top down. This, all right. There's a reason that authoritarian governments actually work better. Okay, it's because they don't have all this stuff. They don't have all this liberalism that's going to muddy the waters about individualism, and we can't do this because we're stepping on this person's rights, that person's rights, blah blah blah. It takes longer to actually come to a consensus. If you want to fix it, fix it. Get behind the ideas that have already been implemented. Have a history of working. Have a history. Have a track record of this policy being in place over time, over 60 years. That's what you actually use. Not something that we think of that came around yesteryear. Okay, you've tried other ways for the last 60 years. It hasn't worked. You have all this literature that's behind it. You have a ironclad case. Use it. If you don't want to use it, that's up to you. But I'm getting kind of tired of this kind of liberal banter, mealy mouth stuff, man. Okay, use the shit that works. Implement it into the public schools, not a charter school. The public schools. You can do it in the public schools. You can have academies in the public schools. You don't need a charter school to do that. Teaching the same stuff in a different environment. The model that we're using as far as this is concerned, you know what's really going to change it? COVID is actually going to change the model that we teach kids in, right? Because this model has been around ever since the internet, and it should have shifted towards it. But COVID is actually going to put that on steroids. It should have been shifted 20 years ago. But things don't get shifted until something happens. They call it tombstone progress. COVID and this remote learning and working, that's going to shift the way we teach kids. Should have been shifted years ago.
Mm. From a probability, or because when you be they say hashtag BGS was right, and you made some predictions, and okay, some of them come true. From a
Most of
probability or
them, some of them,
okay,
most of
most
them.
I got most. You know, I don't keep up
No,
with
hey,
all of them. I give you most. I give you most. But from a probability or prediction standpoint, what's the chances that you say that would actually happen? I would actually love that, because I was thinking all this time when I would hear you say, single sex, all boy, basically all boy schools. I was thinking that it would have to be charter, it would have to be, but you're talking about implementing it through the public schools to
yeah,
basically do the same thing, just put it over there in a different building.
yeah.
What's the probability that something like that kind of serious action could be taken? Like, there's there's a problem with black men. It starts with black boys. This works for black boys. Let's implement this, get it in the public school. What's the probability? What's the prediction and probability of it?
California has been a charter school state for 40 years. That shit's been a freaking disaster. Okay,
Oh, Kip
disaster.
Academy.
It's been a
Kip,
very okay. Out of how many students?
Kip, look. Okay, so for the audience, California has educational status on par with Mississippi, right? It is a dumpster fire. right? The charter schools that are able to operate, and there's terrible ones, terrible charter schools, right? But the ones that are good are good.
See,
KIPP academies, pardon me, excuse me, KIPP academies are killing it.
hmm
So
okay.
if you want to implement a single system that you think you can get through the public school system, great. Show me a public school system that voluntarily did that. Just one.
You ever heard of Charles Drew Academy, which is a public school system, which is called what do they call them? They call them. They're actually called. They're not called charter schools. They called. I forget what they call them. Right?
What,
They
what,
all
what
work.
is that?
They all work. They call. I
Now
forget what they
that's
call.
not what I asked. I said that was voluntarily implemented by a public school system.
Yeah, Charles Drew is actually publicly a medical. I forget what they call it. Okay, um, you have like several of them in Southern California, right? They all work. They're all good schools. They work. In fact, public schools and charter schools have the same rate of success. Doesn't matter. Charter school is no better or worse than a public school system. In fact, it's harder in the charter school system because the public school system, because charter schools dump their kids that don't do well back into the public school system. Okay, you're not keeping up. We're gonna send you back to public school. Okay, so public schools have to sweep up the kids that don't do well and have to fix them. So the thing is, if anything's really going to work, okay, it's got to have to be implemented in the public school system. Change the public schools, okay, instead of trying to pass it off to somebody else. Get in there and do the hard work. It's hard to change public schools because the teachers don't want to change. That's why you have to do it that way. Otherwise, it's not going to work on a broad scale.
Yep. So I guess that's just a conflict of visions.
Man,
I agree. Pardon me.
I'm,
I agree.
I'm,
I
okay, go
agree in
ahead.
school choice and
Okay,
people being able to self-segregate themselves um, by what they want. So for the audience, if you want to go watch Waiting for Superman, gives you good backgrounder on how charter schools have worked well for Black children in Washington, D.C., and kind of breaks it down on a national basis. So that's all I got.
okay,
I'm about to go to
okay.
Miami for dinner. See y'all later.
Okay, all right.
All
The
right,
thing
peace.
is that I've been having this argument for like 20 years, right? And
Mm-hmm.
California has been a charter school system, charter school state for 40 years, man. I know the dumpster fire of charter schools, man. You have some horrible, horrible charter schools, horrible charter schools. So the thing is, what people don't want to do is reform the public school system. They don't want to touch it. That's the
Right.
problem. Reform the whole system. Stop trying to patch it up with an independent system. A charter school system is still a public school system. Okay. Still a public school system, unless people are actually going to go and go to private schools, which is also a mixed bag. Change the whole system.
Mm-hmm.
I've argued,
Uh,
like I said, I've argued this stuff for 20 years. I have a, a partner. He's in St. Louis. He's been arguing this stuff since 2003. We've been going back and forth with this stuff. This is not new to me.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So we closing in on that 5 hour mark. I know a lot of y'all super chatted some questions. I mean, well, some of the super chats were questions to BGS. So we'll go through these super chatted questions and then then I'll wrap this thing going up. But definitely thank you, BGS, for coming on through. Like BGS, listen, yeah, I know I am. Other than when OG come up here. Typically, when elders who got some knowledge, who've learned more, who's forgot more than I ever learned, I tend to shut up and listen. Other than when OG come up here, I'm me and OG gonna fight every time he come up here. But other than OG J Speed, yeah, definitely gotta tip my hat to BGS. Came up here, dropped a lot of knowledge, So we're gonna get through these super chats, and we're gonna wrap this
Okay.
thing on up.
The only reason I came up because you guys are talking about my video. Otherwise, I'd have just
Oh,
been
hey, I
in the
mean, when
background.
you ain't been here in a while, hey, it was a pleasant surprise. I'm glad you came through, and I'm going to join your Patreon because I do want to. That question I asked you about Biden, if you do some Patreon content behind the wall, yeah, I
I'm gonna
want to.
do a whole live stream behind it because people keep asking me the same damn question.
Okay, yeah, so I do want to
I,
hear
ga-
that. So I
I
am.
gave you a hint about him about if you go back and look at the videos and pictures of his inauguration, see what's happening, see what's going on in Washington D.C. at the time. This should give you a hint.
All right. But Roddy God, I think I already read this. He said Male Democrats are the next group. Okay, yeah, I already read that one. Shout out to Rod God. He says to the Nick Fury of the Manosphere, can you please? Well, shout out to Stephen Moultrie. He says to the Nick Fury of the Manosphere, can you please tell me why black women hate Trump so much? They can't or won't tell me.
Oh, because Biden has paid them off. Basically, okay, we're gonna give you positions in power. That's so Biden has said, okay, if you get me in to do what I need to do, I'm willing to go give you a seat at the table. So Biden has given black women a seat at the table. Look at your Supreme Court justice. Look at your vice president. Look at your representatives. Look at all the other things. All the money has flowed to black women. Okay, I'm not saying it's a payoff, but the thing is, um, if people get you in, or people ride or die for you, and you get benefits, you get a seat at the table. That's how come they hate Trump. Trump didn't give them a seat at the table, but Biden did. And to get black men, you got to get black women.
I hate that. Yeah.
Prove me wrong.
I know. I agree. I just said I hate it. I agree. I understand that politically, that's what black men do. They follow black women. Yeah. I mean, listen, no other group votes the same way. The men and women both voting for the same party at those high numbers like that. And it's because black women get their benefits from the Democratic Party and black men are just following. So yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. Freeman's Journal in the building with super chat. He says politics is downstream of culture. Culture is black men voting with and for black women. The black women destroying black boys. Yeah, black boys in education. Black women will keep doing it until black men exert authority at the ballot box. Rubber meets road. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Shout out to DJ B-Side. DJ B-Side 1965 says, excellent discussion. Class is in session. Absolutely. Absolutely. Lord Love Smith in the building says, BGS is great on history and terms, but he doesn't speak on the evolution of terms and ideas, which we see
I got one word I put in it too. It's called bullshit. Okay, how you know how something evolves if you don't go back in history and trace it all the way back up. I have what I call a fishbone, right? Where does it start? Where does it end? And what's in between? You guys don't do that.
LB Crypto in the building says, but no, oh, I already read that one. I think I read this one too. Real talk, most black men want to go against women. That is why when it comes right down to it, they never mention voting for another party. They just want black women to be the leaders they
want power.
want.
That's why I keep playing this. So I came up with the word gynocracy. Why do you think I came up with that?
Why?
To let you know what kind of social environment that you're in. Okay, nobody else talks about that. Okay, I did. Black women hate me for that because it's true.
Mm-hmm. Theo wife in the building says, BGS, thanks for being my intro to the black manosphere. And look at my classes, only black men results over 25 black male professionals in cloud. Absolutely.
Yeah. But the thing, Theo, we have to find a way to scale that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.